Okay, 11.7 is about standard deviation. We talked yesterday about X bar and the things that your calculator gives you. So these formulas are kind of meaningless, but the only things I really want to point you out is the difference between the variance and the standard deviation. Okay, the variance is just the square of the standard deviation. So if I square this, that gives me the standard deviation. So the variance. So if they give you the variance, take the square root, gives you the standard deviation. Standard deviation, square it, gives you the variance. That's the concept, and that's the relationship between those two. So what are the mean, variance, and standard deviation of 6.9, 8.7, 7.06, 4.08, and 9.0? Again, we'll go through this, but again, this is in L1 or in your lists of the stuff, and then you would find your X bar and your mean and your variance. So when I put those in my lists, okay, I get X bar, or my mean, to be 7.4. Now you go down, you're looking for the sigma x on your calculator. It gives me 1.503. So therefore, my sigma square of x, or my variance, so this is my standard deviation, my variance would be 1.503 squared, which ends up giving me about 2.26. That is my variance. Okay, copy this one down. Again, use your calculator. Again, what you would put these in your lists, okay, and you'd go from there. So when I put those in my L1, I get X bar again, which is my mean, to be 17.6, and my standard deviation of X gives me 3.518. Example 3 talks about within how many standard deviations from the mean do all the values of the previous problem fall. So we're looking at those hurricane strikes again. So if we have our mean, which is our X bar, to be 17.6, remember our standard deviation of X, we called it at 3.5. Now we're going to be a little nicer by just rounding there. So how far out, how many standard deviations away is it? Well, if you go 17.6, if you just look at let's say a number line, and we have 10, 12, 14. I want to introduce you to this thing called a Z-score. And a Z-score tells you how far away from the mean an individual data point is. So a Z-score is X minus your X bar divided by your standard deviation. Okay, so in this case, let's look at the highest number that we had. The most strikes, or let's call it the max, was 24, and your min was 12. So let's see how far away from the mean these things fell. That's what the Z-score is, how far they are. So let's do our max. So the Z-score of our max is 24 minus 17.6 divided by 3.5. So when we put that in my calculator, my Z here is 1.829. So this 24 is within 2 standard deviations from the mean. Okay, let's look at our min now. Again, it's the same thing. The Z is now 12 minus 17.6 divided by 3.5. That will tell me how far away from my mean it is. That Z-score equals a negative 1.6. The negative really doesn't matter. That negative just means direction. So when you talk about negative Z-scores, it just means below the mean. So this is still within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So we have 2 standard deviations above and below the mean.